Hi, I'm Chaotic Elf, and I would love to talk to you, yes, you, about some of my original characters. I mean, what artist really doesn't want to do that? At least artists with original characters. And I am one of them. With Art Fight just around the corner, at least it is for me, depending on when you're watching this video, it could already be Art Fight or it could have passed. But for me, it's right around the corner, just a couple months around. And so I have been working on my Art Fight references like a good artist early compared to every other year where I have started them about 2 weeks before the game started. Oops. But I'm starting them early, and I would love to talk about my characters that I'm going to be putting up on Art Fight, and maybe one day characters I'm also not putting on Art Fight. But for today, we're starting with characters who are making the cut. So I want to talk about my Mutants and Masterminds NPCs. For the past about 2, maybe 3 years now, I've been running a Mutants and Masterminds campaign. If you don't know what Mutants and Masterminds is, then think about D&D, but with superheroes. That's the basic explanation of it. So I've been running a Mutants and Masterminds campaign called Speculo for the past 2-ish, 3-ish years now. The reason it's been going on for so long is several things, actually, but one of the big reasons is that it's actually 3 campaigns in the world of Speculo. We have Once Upon a Tale, which takes place in 1997, where it's kind of like a one-shot, just longer than your average one-shot, because nothing I can do can ever be so simple. It is where a lot of the current superheroes in the main campaign are all in college together, learning to become superheroes. The super before the hero, if you know what I mean. Then we have Shooting Shards, which takes place 5 years before the main campaign, where I'm giving the players a chance to meet some characters before a bunch of things happen, before the great calamity happens, if you will. Then finally we have V Effect, which is supposed to be the main campaign, which is currently on hiatus until we catch up the other 2. There's no problems here, trust. But quick information on Speculo before we go and meet the actual characters. All this information is information that my players currently know. This includes things about the campaign as a whole and these individual characters. As one of my players edits my videos and the other one is probably gonna watch this exact video. Hi, Jamie. So I can't really say anything they don't know, or I can't say anything I don't want them to know. Some things I may say that they don't know. I don't know. Depends on when this video gets uploaded and what they learn in our upcoming session tomorrow. But Speculo is a superhero world with, would you believe, superheroes. People who are born with superhero powers or mutations are called deviants. Deviants can be power-based deviants, which is anyone who is born with super powers or magic-like abilities, anywhere from super speed to teleportation to making fire out of their hands, you know? Then there are mutation-based deviants, which are deviants who are mutated, my bad, more than the average person can be. This usually means something like having some type of animal ears, like cat ears or wings, or they can be made out of plants, or they could be made out of rocks, or just anything crazy like that. They could be born with like robot parts. Hi, Luke. But that's what a deviant is, and these deviants are the only people who can become superheroes. Just like in the world, most supervillains, which are the people most superheroes are fighting, are also deviants. Speculo runs on a really, frankly to say, fucked up system of pitting superheroes against supervillains, aka pitting deviants against deviants for the entertainment for the rest of the world. As a deviant child, let's walk it through. You are born as a deviant child, a power-based deviant, mutant-based deviant. It barely matters the difference. Let's say you have loving families. Your mom and dad, or mom and mom, or dad, whatever, loves you dearly, but then you turn 6 years old, and suddenly these strange people from the government come up to your door and say they have to take you away from your family for years. They take you away and put you in these large spaces encased by these walls and domes where there are hundreds to thousands of other deviant kids living here. A bunch of staff who are both deviants and non-deviants working here. There's schools, there's free food, you get usually your own bedroom depending on how many people are currently living there. Maybe you have a roommate or 2 or 3 or 4. Maybe you have 5 roommates. And this is your life until you turn 20 years old, which on your 20th birthday, they then kick you out of this facility that you then knew as your new home. You're getting kicked out again and sent into the real world where you're expected to just live, where you're expected to join up with the rest of society like everyone else, as if none of that happened. That's how deviants are treated in Speculo, and due to that, a lot of deviants do become villains or turn to crime. Villains is a very broad term. If you're a deviant doing anything wrong, you are a villain. You are the problem with society, and you're expected to be dealt with by the heroes, the celebrities, the people just like you who got a little luckier than you. That is what superhero life is like in Speculum. That is the way that the world has came to be. It's what they expect from you as a deviant. But that's just some basic backstory. Maybe I'll do a whole video on Speculo as a whole, getting into all the dirty details of it all, but for now, I just want to give you a little bit of backstory that we can then use to look at these characters. Today, I'm only going to be introducing 2 of my NPCs out of the about, 10,000 of them. We're only going to be introducing Mitch and Lex today, 2 of the Fairy Tale members, but let's just go over and meet them right now and get more into all the details about them. Okay, so this is Mitchell Lee Creed. He is a werewolf. Whether that's obvious or not, I don't know, you tell me in the comments down below, but he is a wolf type deviant, which makes him a mutant type deviant, but he also has powers, which makes him one of the people who are both. They're power and mutant type deviant. His powers mostly focus around being a werewolf. He can transform into this giant werewolfic beast. Think about like the werewolves from Skyrim, for example. He has super strength, he has really good smelling, he's really good at tracking. Think about a wolf, and that's Mitch. That's his abilities. He is one of our superheroes in the world. Currently, what you're seeing being drawn is him during Once Upon a Tale, so him in college. He's about 20 years old here. But in the future, he does become one of the most popular heroes in their country. He is a part of the Fairy Tale team, which is a group of superheroes who are all based on either a fairy tale character or a whole entire fairy tale. Mitch here himself is based off of Little Red Riding Hood, the whole entire fairy tale. He is based off of the Big Bad Wolf, hence all of his cool wolf themings. He is also Little Red with all the red he wears. He also has his hero name being Little Red as a not so very coy reference to it. He has a pet possum named Big Red as a quick little side note. They're matching names. He uses hatchet as his main weapon, which is a throwback and callback, to the woodsman. So every part of Little Red Riding Hood he has connected to him. Growing up before the facilities, before he was rudely taken, he lived with his grandma, actually. He didn't know any of his parents. He actually currently still barely knows anything about them at all. His grandma doesn't even talk about them. So he only has his grandma. He was raised in one of the more quote-unquote worst cities in their country. It's called Undercity, and it's themed that way because of its very high deviant population, which makes people kind of be like, oh, there's a lot of crime over there. And granted, there is, but it's not just crime just to be crime. Most people in Undercity are just trying to get by. But in Mitch's case, he didn't really know much of that life. Growing up before the facilities with his grandma, she was very, I guess, like a helicopter parent. She didn't let him outside very often, and anytime he was allowed outside, it was only by her side. She didn't let him really experience life without her being beside him, in fear of something happening to him or him getting in trouble or all these random fears. It led to Mitch not really experiencing the world at all before the facilities. His first experience with the outside world being when he is 18 and he joins the hero program in the facilities, where they first start training to become a hero. They start learning all the ins and outs. That was his first real time with the outside world without his grandma hovering over him. He got to go outside for the first time with his friends and experience life. He is just a big ball of sunshine. A lot of the world's problems don't affect him because they never have before, so why should they now? He has just the brightest eyes and the biggest smile on his face, and that's all that matters to Mitch. He is essentially a big himbo. He's so sweet and he's so big and he's so silly. He can't read rooms. If you put him in a room where there's a lot of drama or tension, you bet he's sitting there not knowing what's going on with it. He's sitting there in his own little world, and he is about to ask him a question that's very inappropriate for what's happening right now. If I had to compare Mitch to a fictional character, I think I would compare him to Scott from Monster Prom. That's honestly probably the number one best comparison for him. Like, what else is there to say about him, you know? Like, saying Scott from Monster Prom encases everything you need to know about this guy. Like I said, his hero name is Little Red. He ends up being actually one of the most popular heroes in his whole group, out of the whole fairy tale group. Which, on that, the way that heroes also function, outside of being celebrities and a form of entertainment for the world, they also run off of kind of like a popularity system. There's a bunch of agencies that signs heroes and then promote the heroes and give them jobs and tell them what to do and yada yada. They have dispatchers, kind of like they dispatch. It's a whole thing. Once again, I'll get into all that maybe in another video when I talk about Specula as a whole, but something important to know is heroes get paid based off of how well liked they are. How much more money they're making the agency is how much money the hero's making. So a hero who is super popular but really bad at saving people would be doing better in their career than the opposite, a superhero who isn't popular but is amazing at saving lives. It's kind of fucked up, to be honest, but that's the way it is. Mitch, he's kind of I would say in the middle ground, but he is super popular. He becomes one of the most famous heroes in his time, out of his whole group. His himbo-ness really saves him in this degree, but his powers with being a werewolf makes him a little unruly. It makes him fall out of control sometimes. It makes him a little dangerous at times, which makes him not always the best at saving people, but he loves people and he loves the fame and he loves being a superhero. This is Mitchell Lee Creed, our first fairy tale member. Next is Lex Lizzie Queen. Here's a quick little thing before we start getting into everything. Lex either goes by Lex Lizzie or Queen. Any three of the names works just fine by them, so you may hear me switching between the three names along with he, she, or they. Lex is gendered fluid and really doesn't care. So that's a quick little disclaimer. If you hear me saying anything between those, that's why. We're still talking about Lex, unless stated otherwise, I guess. But this is Lex Lizzie Queen. Lex is also actually from Undercity, the same city as Mitch, though the two never met until around the age of 13 when Lex was taken to the facility. Now, you may be wondering, I thought you said they're taken at 6, and I did, but there are some rare cases where a deviant can be taken later or sometimes sooner. Lex here, growing up with their mom, they spent a long time of their life, and a lot of their life, a large portion of their life, was dedicated to avoiding the facilities, avoiding cops, avoiding the government, avoiding hospitals, avoiding people they can't trust, just to be able to continue to live free. Them and their mom had to put in everything for that. Lex didn't grow up privileged or with the security of safety. Every day was fearful of violence, of not eating that night, of not having a roof over their head, or being kidnapped to these facilities where they're gonna be forced to live until they're an adult. So Lex is Lex is a victim of circumstance. Lex is a victim of the violence they both seen growing up and partook in growing up. Lex is a victim of the system, like many deviants are. But some deviants will put it off and try to live life regardless. Lex won't let it go. Lex is actually based off of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. Lex can be very temperamental, very flip-floppy. Lex is very violent and harsh. Lex will speak their mind. Lex thinks they deserve what they deserve and nothing less. Lex wants to be treated like the queen that they are, and when treated as anything below that is simply unacceptable. As such, Lex is not always that popular. Like I said, Lex is very violent. Lex has a dark upbringing. Lex isn't the concept of the perfect hero that the world wants to see, but Lex doesn't care either. Lex barely even wants to be a hero. Lex is doing it for their friends, because despite all of that, Lex is loyal to their friends till the end. They are the definition of ride or die. And so they couldn't just not walk down this path when the rest of their friends could. They couldn't just turn away from this life and go back to nothing? They didn't really have anything before this. They barely even had friends before this. No, Lex wouldn't do that. So that's the gist of Lex's backstory, at least what I'm willing to say. I guess they were also a part of a gang for a while, but that's really complicated and it dives into a lot of their character that I don't want to say. But that's the most important parts of who they are and how it affects who they become. Like I said, they're not usually the most popular hero in the world. They are so dark and edgy and so mean and violent and just all these negative traits that the world sees, despite whatever positive ones they may have. It leads to them not being the most well liked either. They have a hard time making more friends outside of the fairy tellers and keeping up their reputation as a hero, especially as someone who doesn't care about their reputation as a hero. Despite that, though, Lex still has a very loyal fan base and a lot of fans and their own merchandise. I didn't mention it, but for example, all heroes end up getting merchandise. The more popular you are, the more merchandise you make, and the more famous and more money you bring in, the more rich you become. The whole system. Mitch, one of his most popular merchandise, it's actually a cereal collab where they have a cereal brand with him. It's kind of like Lucky Charms, but with like little moons and axes and things like that, and it's called Mitching and Munching. Lex actually has a doll collection with the whole Queen of Hearts thing. I would say probably think of like Ever After High dolls, maybe like Lizzie Hearts from Ever After High type dolls, things like that. it's pretty common for superheroes to get dolls and things and action figures. That's something that Lex has. Lex hero name, oh my god, don't know if I've even mentioned their hero name. Lex's hero name is Queen, just straight up Queen, their own last name. You know, she keeps it sweet and simple. Lizzie also uses a scythe as a weapon, just because I thought it fit their edginess really well. But they also designed their own hero outfit. Most of them do. It's based off of, would you believe, a queen. It gives royalty. It gives, you know, I'm better than you. It's stay below me. But also still working in a way that they can still fight pretty well. If anything, Lex likes the challenge in combat with such a crazy outfit. But here they are in their glory, in their everything. I hope you like both of them. Okay, so that was both Lex and Mitch, along with a little bit of info dumping on Speculo. Tell me what you think about them. Tell me if you guys would want a full video on them in the future. It'd probably be after my players learn more about them, but I would be willing to just like do like a full speed paint talking about everything with them at some point. Same with like doing a video on Speculo as a whole. I would love to do a whole video like just talking about everything with Speculo. But for now, the next video is gonna have the other 3 of the fairy tale teams, and after that we'll see what I do. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I am having so much fun with this, so I appreciate anyone who watches and gets a laugh or 2 out of this. And yeah, remember, don't let anyone vibe check you on your birthday, because that is just straight up rude. Thank you and bye!